Item 8, we have a public hearing this evening. Hold a public hearing, waive the first reading, and introduce ordinance imposing a 1.82% rate increase for Recology San Bruno garbage and recycling services to be effective July 1st, 2016, as presented in the notice of proposed garbage and recycling rate increase mailed to all property owners.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The city's franchise agreement with Recology San Bruno allows for annual rate adjustments using a detailed and interim rate year analysis. A detailed rate year analysis is prepared every 3 years using a calculation that is outlined in the franchise agreement. An interim rate year analysis is prepared in the remaining years and is calculated using an agreed-upon cost of living adjustment. We are currently in a detailed rate year, and in accordance with the franchise agreement, on February 1st, 2016, Recology San Bruno requested a detailed rate year adjustment. The detailed rate calculation included the estimated lower landfill costs that are anticipated as a result of switching disposal sites from the Hay Road landfill to the Ox Mountain landfill, and which was approved by the City Council on January 26, 2016. This was a savings of approximately $122,000 and reduced the proposed rate adjustment from 3.66% to 1.82%. City staff vetted the proposed increase by verifying that all projections were in line with the franchise agreement, compared prior year numbers to Recology San Bruno's audited financial statements, and verified that calculations were correct. The proposed rate adjustment is 1.82% and will be effective July 1st, 2016. Based on the proposed rate adjustment, charges for a 32-gallon residential toter will increase by 51 cents to $28.70. At the March 8, 2016 City Council meeting, staff presented the proposed rate increase, and the City Council directed staff to proceed with the 45-day property owner notice and protest process, as defined by Proposition 218. The written notice of the proposed rates were mailed to all property owners on March 22nd, and to date, the City has received 14 written responses opposing the rate increase. A copy of these responses have been included with this report, and Recology staff has reviewed these responses and determined that several of the customers have 32-gallon toters, and they are in the process of contacting these customers to determine if they would like to move from a 32-gallon to a 20-gallon toter. And I'd also like to mention the city also has a low-income program. So if you qualify, you would get 25% off of the 32-gallon if you have the 32-gallon toter, and it's also off of your water and wastewater. So it's the total utility bill. And we actually have it on the website under the Finance Department, under Utility Billing Division. The form is there, so if a customer is interested in applying for that, they can do that. So tonight, staff is recommending that the City Council waive the first reading and introduce an ordinance imposing a 1.82% rate increase. And now I'm going to turn it over to the General Manager from Recology to give an update on the organics program, and then we will both be available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Angie. A couple of things I wanted to just announce. One was that I'd like to invite the public and the residents of San Bruno to our compost giveaway, which is this Saturday from 8 a.m. till noon up at Beckner Shelter. So they can it's a BYOB, bring your own bucket, and we'll have city staff there and Recology staff there to fill your bucket with some organically rich compost, some of which we gave away at Operation Clean Sweep this past Saturday. And we'd like to see everybody there and definitely utilize the compost. We've definitely been promoting our organics program within San Bruno to just increase the overall diversion for our city. And I will say that I'm very proud of a couple of multi-families. Both Shelter Creek and Peninsula Place have both been self-promoting this program within their own complex. Shelter Creek has almost 500 units that are participating in the program that have requested pails. Peninsula Place has they're about 32% of their residents are also doing it. Artichoke Joe's has just stepped on board to utilize the organics program. They actually purchased 3 stream containers made from recycled plastic that will divide their garbage, recycling, and now organics. And upon some approvals from the planning department or the city department, they're going to utilize an entire compactor dedicated just to organics. So Cal Recycle actually wants to use them as a promotional site. Also BJ's, which has been a long time coming. We've been working very closely with them, and our Waste Zero coordinator, Misty, has gotten them to slowly, but now are participating in the organics program. So their kitchen, they're getting 3 64-gallon toters that are serviced 3 times a week. So we've got some new, really big customers on board to help with our overall diversion. So.
While she's here, any questions for Kristen?
To the chair. Yeah, Kristen. I think it's great that the commercial community is getting involved in organics. How does that reflect on, the future of the program? Does that truly, by them diverting all that organic material, does that help in at least stabilizing the dump fees, for regular garbage and things?
It helps with the overall diversion of the city of San Bruno. So when you go on to the Cal Recycle website, San Bruno will continually look better and better as more people participate in these types of programs.
And how does that make me feel good? I mean, as far as being in the community, what does that mean?
Because it shows that San Bruno really cares about our environment, and that we're leaders in recycling. Remember, we were the ones that were leaders in the curbside program, so we really want to be the city on the peninsula that stands out with diversion.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Anything else for Kirsten?
Through the chair.
Rico.
A couple things then to staff. So my understanding is when the garbage, when you folks came to us to have the disposal switched, we went from a potential 3.66 increase to a 1.82. So that was a proactive approach to try to curtail the costs. I know the CPI in February is about 3%, though I know not everybody gets increases in Social Security or in their checks. But I was trying to market and manage and see where we were at for that versus that. The other thing is I know you mentioned the 25% reduction for the sewer water and then there's garbage, but that's specifically on the 32 tote. And if we're trying to encourage, and I know there was one gentleman who wrote here who does have a 20-gallon, why, and I know they weren't there then, so when we offered that program, the 20 tote didn't exist. But how come we don't offer a percentage to that? Because if we're trying to encourage residents to have less waste, and maybe it has to be something for the subcommittee, I would like to see us look into that, offering a reduction to those who meet that qualification, maybe for the 20 as well. We have to go there anyway, so it's the same can, if I'm not mistaken. There's just a liner put inside, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if you had any thought or comment on that.
No, you pretty much hit it. We didn't, when the low income rate was established, there was no 20 gallons. So we'd be happy to work with staff to look at and explore something like that.
Thank you. And I don't know what my colleagues feel, but I don't think it hurts to look in that possibility too. Because if we're trying to get diversion and they can go down to a 20 and they meet the low income status per the finance, then I'd like to see maybe just the dialogue and the suggestion to go out to that. I had some questions for staff, but I didn't know if Irene wanted.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm sorry. To staff, couple things. When we put out the information for in the Prop 218, I was wondering, and I was looking through, and so unless I missed it, I think it would be a nice opportunity to maybe show a comparison to the other cities. One of the letters did state we are the highest in the county. So now again, they may say, well, those are your numbers, not the true numbers, but in essence, that's information we can provide, I think. Also, I would like to see if there's an opportunity to also communicate to the residents what we have tried to do, either with the garbage company's help or with the cities working collaboratively to try to curtail costs. We always talk about why it needs to go up, but why is it going up this much versus 3.66 or 5%? And I think the more information and transparency we give to the public, they can make better decisions and understand that, and also have opportunities where they can reach out for information. So those are some suggestions I'd like to bring forward to staff for future.
Great. Anyone else?
Sure.
Marty?
Primarily to staff, and I do recognize the good that Recology does in helping our community and all the good work that you guys sponsor. So what I heard was for people that, for instance, this one letter's in here, elderly lady, where she lives alone, and she thinks that she could probably almost do away with no can. Maybe have a can pickup every so often, not every week, but I know there's a problem with that, with it being that rodents and having stink and smell and sanitation reasons. But I was thinking of perhaps if there could be a way for that one person that really generates very little to utilize a neighbor that says, hey, you know what, my neighbor next door, put your one bag, little bit of garbage in, and I'll share it with you. And that person would not have to pay the garbage. So it's something that also for somebody that is really good at composting and really minimizing their garbage, what I have heard was, you know, my rates are going up and I'm doing good. I'm composting. I'm finding ways to reduce my footprint of the garbage that I'm creating. So how can we also look at something like that for them? That was my comment to you.
Okay. My only response to that, and I will certainly, follow up with staff, is that there is still a cost for the service to pick up the recycling, and there's a cost of the service to pick up the composting. So I definitely applaud all of our residents that are working so hard to do the composting and recycling as well as they are. There is still a cost that's associated with picking those cans up on a weekly basis. So we did institute the 20-gallon to applaud those residents that are doing that so they can take advantage of a lower rate. So if they're that diligent about composting and recycling, they can certainly save. And we did kind of go through those protests to kind of determine if a lot of those people are still in the 32. So we're going to reach out to them and explore for them to reduce down to the 20 as an additional cost savings for them.
I forgot to mention that there were also 2 letters, one from Shelter Creek and one from Peninsula Place. Now, I know that they're not getting they're paying their fee as well, but if my memory is correct, especially in Shelter Creek, there was something that was done to try to help minimize some of the increased costs. Can you refresh that, please?
Thank you. For both Peninsula Place and Shelter Creek, we deliver them a debris box when they need it for the bulky items, and there's no additional cost for that bulky item. We've also taken some of the cost away for them for their landscaping, so we pick up the green waste debris boxes over at both of those locations at no additional charge to kind of more simulate what our residents get on a weekly basis. We want to give that to the multifamilies as well, so they are receiving that.
And then final, isn't there some legality as far as we can't just arbitrarily go to biweekly? I know the city of San Mateo discussed that amongst the council at one point, and that was kind of walked back. But is there some type of regulation that requires weekly pickup? And again, back when I worked for the city, there was a case of a resident who sued the city who said that they shouldn't pay for garbage because of the fact they did all the composting. That was obviously a long time ago. But I think that was within the attorney that something was ruled, not at our level, but higher up, that wasn't permitted. So I don't know. I hear the Vice Mayor's comments, but I'm wondering if there's some legalities to that.
There is a city ordinance that makes mandatory weekly pickup. And so that also partially addresses Vice Mayor Medina's question about can people opt out, and generally under city ordinances the answer is no, they can't opt out. And of course one difficulty with that would be setting up a set of systems whereby people with all sorts of potentially valid reasons might opt out. State law does require garbage pickup, however, so it does make that mandatory.
Okay. Anything else for staff? Irene?
I just really quick. Kirsten, I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you say how many more residents are using organics? Have we increased the volume of organics since the last time you talked to us?
The volume, yes, we can't pinpoint. People are still actually getting in the rhythm of understanding that the green can be put out weekly. So that if we were to take a poll, it's still difficult to actually rate participation because some people are participating, but they may not be putting it on the week we're checking, because they're still doing it every other week. So until they get into that rhythm, can't concrete say the actual participation, but the tonnage does continually increase, which is impressive considering the weather and the drought we've had. So greenery actually, is not what it used to be. So that means the food content is actually going into the green cart.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, one more thing. So where are we with, as a city, for instance, with 3 bins, San Mateo Avenue, City Park, that type of thing? And is it too dangerous simply because of the ravens and the squirrels and everything else? So.
Yeah, that's definitely something we'd love to explore and look into. I'm not familiar with a lot of any other cities that are going on the 3-bin system out in public like at San Mateo Avenue. We'd like to explore maybe city cans with some recycling feature on them, but compost it would be a difficult situation. We have explored, there are, like the Starbucks had a compostable cup compactor, so there might be some pilots that we can work with the city to look into.
Well, I think in City Park, there's so much activity there, and I think a lot of that food and waste from barbecues and stuff just gets thrown down in the waste. So something to think about, and I'd like it looked at.
Okay.
Great.
Love to.
Thank you. Anything else for staff?
Yeah, I just wanted
Angie?
to point out, too, I did a slide to kind of show a comparison. The flat line is based to the 5-year CPI, and then you see the red line goes up quite a bit, and that's because of the organics. So you can see the rates went up in 12-13, went slightly down in 13-14, and then they've kind of leveled out. So the black line is without organics, what the rate increases would be. But as you can see in 15-16 and 16-17, we're pretty far below the CPI line. So that to me is a good indicator that we're starting to streamline and have just the flat.
Good. Anything else for staff? Marty?
I'd just like to thank you for that, because I wanted people to see kind of comparing how inflation is and what your rates are, what you're paying. I understand that people get a little frustrated by, it's every year, it goes up, and I believe that, well, the fact is, it's in the contract, the current contract we have, which was started in '98 and which goes into 2019. There will be an opportunity for an extension of that contract, but we'll see how that goes. In our staff report, it shows San Bruno kind of in the middle of what the rates would be. And I guess there's 2 reasons why I'm going to vote no for this. One is that I feel that our public is feeling like they're getting hit left and right, bit by bit, whether it's water, sewer, garbage. The second part of it, and I asked for a copy of the financial analysis when this first came up, and I guess there was some proprietary information in there that couldn't be shared initially, and I understand that it is now available for me to review, for all the council members to review now. So I feel that I'm not comfortable voting on something that I haven't been able to review personally. So I hear what the public's saying. I believe that because it's been the same contractor, people think it's greener on the other side. That the contract's been going on for so long that, well, if we went out to bid, you might get it even more expensive. But we're not going to know that, and that's what the market decides. So those are my comments.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, this time we're going to open the public hearing. Would anyone from the public like to address the council on this issue? Okay, if we close the public hearing, please come to the podium and just tell us your name and your street.
Hi, Deborah Gignoli. I live on Hazel Avenue. I actually didn't come to speak. I just came to drop off a letter, but I heard a comment regarding the smaller tote, the 20-gallon. I actually requested one of those one time. They came, they dropped it off that we took the garbage from the bigger tote to put into that one so that they could take the 32 away. And the insert is at an angle. It's like a V like this. So when you put even one bag in, it pretty much fills up the garbage. So that 20-gallon doesn't go very far. So I just kind of wanted to point that out, that maybe if it was a flat bottom, you know, more people might request it because you could fit more garbage in, but the way it is, you know, it doesn't go very far. So I just wanted to mention that.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public? If we close the public hearing, you're going to be precluded from talking to us on this. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.